Hi, this is Joe Chambers. Welcome to Musicians Hall of Fame Backstage. Today's show is part two of a three-part interview we did with the Zombies lead singer Colin Blunstone and keyboardist Rod Argent. In this video, we talk about those early TV appearances they made when they first came to the States, like on the Hullabaloo. Hope you enjoy it. If you do, be sure to hit like, subscribe, and the notification bell so you don't miss any of our new content. Once again, one of my favorite bands, the Zombies. Welcome back to Musicians Hall of Fame Backstage with the Zombies, Colin Blunstone and Rod Argent. We were talking in the break. I think it's kind of an interesting story. Both you guys are big Elvis fans. I mean, who wasn't really, you know? But
Yeah.
that's really was a major influence for you and for you.
To start with.
To start with.
Oh man,
You got a great surprise later in life.
I did. I really did. It was just quickly. The guy that turned me on to rock and roll was my cousin Jim Rodford, who was with the Kinks for 15 years on their biggest ever selling records, and was always a mentor to me. He lived 400 yards away from me. His mum and mine were best friends, you know. So I always look up to him. And when I was 11, I went down to his house, and I didn't really like the popular music very much at the time. I listened to it. It was things like Perry Como and the very easy listening type of thing. And he said, and he'd started a skiffle group, and one of the very first ones in the whole of the south of England. And he said, "Oh, I've got a couple of things to play you." I said, "Yeah, okay." And so he played me a couple of Bill Haley records, and I said, "Yeah, it's okay, you know, it's okay." He said, "Well, let me play you this," and he played me Hound Dog. And man, my whole world was turned around. And to my parents' horror, I went back up, and I didn't want to hear anything but the rawest rock and roll that I could lay my hands on for the next 6 months, you know. Early Little Richard records, Chuck Berry, Jerry Lee Lewis, but also very quickly led me into the pathways of listening to black music that I had never heard, rhythm and blues and blues. And this happened to so many people in the UK. It was a universal influence on the early things. So really what you got out of the English players was like a mix of Motown, but with some of these early things thrown in, and all, you know, which is what made the English filter make it sound slightly different. Anyway, the very first gig we did in America was the Murray the K Show in 1964, Christmas show. And we played just after Patti LaBelle, etc., and we were scared stiff. We thought 5 skinny white kids from England, and they're going to hate us. They're going to think we're just playing their music in a watered-down form. But they didn't hear it that way at all. They heard it as having gone through the English filter and having something that they really identified with. They were absolutely lovely to us. Anyway, I was telling all this story to this Irish DJ about 30 years later, and I was saying, when I first saw Elvis, you know, because I was knocked out with his records, and then I saw one of his early TV clips that were just shown on UK TV. You know, it was probably 20 seconds or 30 seconds, and I just was transfixed, you know, and I thought, I've got to be part of this music when I'm old enough, you know. I was only 11 or 12, but I've got to be part of this music. As soon as I can form a band, I have to form a band. But we came over in '64, and I was telling all this story to this particularly Irish DJ, and he stopped me, and I said, but I felt we could never do that. And he said, "I can't believe you didn't know this." He said, "But in 1964 and '65, Elvis had 3, he said, I'm an Elvis freak. He said, Elvis had 3 of your songs and the Zombies records on his jukebox." And I thought, oh man, I was completely, you know, I mean, I'm talking 20 to the dozen at the moment, but I was completely lost for the words, you know. I really couldn't say anything.
It's nice, it's full circle, you know.
Man.
It's, you know, it's nice to know that the person that influenced you, you influenced them in a way too, you know.
You know, we were in Memphis doing an interview just like this.
Yeah.
It was probably about 65 or 66, and the DJ said to us, do you want to go and see Elvis afterwards?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's such a strange thing to
We
say.
said, yeah, all right.
Yeah, okay. We said, yeah. So we walked up to Graceland. There was no security
Right.
whatsoever. And we walked up the drive. We knocked on the door. Yeah. And we're not sure if it was his
I
father
think it was Vernon, actually.
or his uncle. I don't know. Someone came to the door. And he said, you know, oh, there's zombies. Elvis would have loved to have met you. I said, but he's in Hawaii filming at the moment, so you can't meet him. But he said, you know, have a look around, make yourselves at home. And so we spent an hour or so in Graceland.
And we thought he didn't know us at all, didn't we?
Yeah.
We thought this was Southern hospitality, you know, at its best.
Well, remember, I mean, I was here. Y'all were huge. You still are huge. You know, I mean, your music doesn't sound dated. It sounds as good or better to me, and I think the people that
Thank you.
originally heard you,
Thank
you know,
you.
and of course your voice. I don't even feel qualified to say anything about it because it's just I'm not a singer in any shape, form, or fashion. But you have you've heard other people say it. I guess they just say the airiness of your voice maybe or something, but it's so unique, you know, that you know it's you when you hear it. Unlike so many people
you
today,
do.
you don't know who you're actually listening
It's got
to.
its own stamp, and you should hear his voice on the album we've just completed. It sounds fantastic,
Yeah.
and we're getting a huge reaction on this. I mean, it won't be coming out for a little while because of scheduling.
It's
et
only
cetera,
just
et cetera.
finished, isn't it? Yeah.
I'm just thinking back on watching you guys on TV, and I'm not sure what shows I saw you on, but
Very few, actually.
But man, I could be also, you know, I watched the videos all the time that were on whatever shows that you guys did. What was the show that you guys did where, obviously you're out front, but you're standing, you're sitting next to a truck or something, and
I think it was at that Hippodrome thing we did. Jack Jones was introducing it.
it had the sculpture of Mozart or something.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
What was that show called?
Hullabaloo, wasn't it?
Hullabaloo.
Oh, Hullabaloo, yeah.
I got the H right.
Was it Hullabaloo? I think
Hullabaloo.
It, might have been, yeah.
It was the first Hullabaloo ever.
Really?
It was the first show. And Jack Jones was the compere.
Right now, I'd like you to meet some people. What is your name, please?
Rodney Terence Argent,
Hugh Birch Grundy.
Paul Ashley Warren Atkinson,
Christopher Taylor White.
Colin Edward Michael Blunstone.
You probably know them better as the Zombies.
And we just mimed one song. Oh, they tried to get us to do a dance sequence.
At the end, and with the people from West Side Story, for God's sake.
These wonderful dancers. And they thought we'd just pick it up. But they had to cut that bit because we couldn't do it.
I was moving badly opposite the guy who exploded, you know, action in West Side Story.
Yeah.
And that was a film which, in a different way, sort of changed my life as well. I was 15 when I saw it.
Wow.
And I thought, this is the best thing I've ever seen. You know.
Well, Chris Isaacs has one of my favorite records ever, is Wicked Games, and the video as well. It was awesome. Is awesome. And the girl that's in the video acts like she could care less about him, you know, while he's holding her and all that stuff, and she's looking around and looking at her fingernails and everything. And it's something a little bit appealing about a girl that's not just, you know, doing the back it up thing, you know, where they've got some class. And you guys had those girls that were on them, they were like, you know, almost statuettes, like they were.
Yeah, they were,
Right,
very
yeah,
much
yeah.
so, yeah.
They just stood completely still. And incidentally, they never spoke to us once.
Really?
And I think we were rehearsing that show for 3 days, and they never even, well, didn't speak to me anyway. Not
Maybe they
one.
weren't acting. But yeah, they're just like, you know, unfazed, like, you know. And there was a certain appeal to that. I thought a lot, you know, and because the song is kind of a haunting, longing kind of a record, you know.
It has a mood about it,
It
doesn't
does,
it?
yeah.
Like a remote
and,
sort of mood.
and Tell Her No too.
Okay.
You know, to me, you know. So anyway, yeah, you're writing, you're singing. It was a perfect recipe, in my opinion.
Thank you.
Hey, we're going to take one more break, and we'll come back in just 1 minute.